5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
I am here. There I am. Good evening. How the devil are you? Good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Now, I don't want to give any clues away about who I might be voting for man of the match today. But I've got to say, things you can buy in Aldi these days, unbelievable. Wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. This is LTID TV1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube, if that is how you're watching. And if you're watching on Catch Up, welcome along as well. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platforms, thank you very much for lending me your ears. Oh, where have these performances been all season? That's what I want to know. Let's bring him in. It's the man. We're going to do the review of Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 2. What a shame. Apparently now Champions League is out of their hands. Oh, wasn't it nice, eh? Wasn't it nice? This is the review show. Good evening, Brad. How are you doing?
Can't believe it, guys. I'm on stream with Wout Face. Come check us out. Sorry, mate. I just had to take a photo and let everybody know that I'm on stream with Wout Face. What a pleasure and an honour it is, my sir.
Look. Can I just say, twins.
I mean, separated at birth.
You could. I think you could very well say that, couldn't you? Tell you what, these hair products you can get these days, they don't half work quickly.
Miracle Grow. Wayne Rooney wants some of that.
Yeah, not sure if my hat will fit over this or not. I don't think it will. I have to have it like that. A very good evening. Yes, please, no clues. There's no clues as to who I might be talking about a bit this evening. But let's first of all look. Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 2. This is so itchy you wouldn't believe. How do women do this? I see what I forgot, Brad. I haven't got the hairband.
That's where the magic lies, isn't it?
The magic is in the band. Lies. Yes, indeed. Let's say a few hellos. Ronald is in. Good evening, Ronald. How are you doing? And I apologise. We were a bit late starting, but I had to get all my curlers out, so it did mean I started a bit later. Craig is in. Hello, Craig. How are you doing? He said, hi, FaZe. Hi, indeed. Good evening, Chris, says Paul. Blue Fox, hello, everyone. Great hair, Chris. I tell you what, you should have seen me shaving my pubes this morning to get it. Dora on tour. Hello, Dora on tour. How's the Battle for Champions League going?
Well, it's separated at birth.
Battle for Champions League going? Well, I mean, it's separated at birth. You could. I think you could very well say that, couldn't you? Welcome along. It was actually a good game. I was very surprised, although I did get a point because I did predict a draw, but I did think that Forest were going to stuff us. And Mike is in as well. Hi, Mike. How are you doing? Right, I tell you what, Brad. Talk about this while I just go and have a quick shave. Leicester City 4, West Ham United 2 in the women's team.
Yeah, as good as the result for the men's was, Leicester women know how to survive the drop. What has been a wonderful season for the Foxes. They were the first team to stop the to take a point off the Invincibles Chelsea, who only succumbed to 3 draws throughout the season.
Sorry.
I don't blame you. Oh, he's back. He's back. A 4-2 win comprehensively at the end of the season. And more importantly, even the Tottenham women's side are like the men's, because they're still after Leicester because they finished above Tottenham Hotspur and 12th place and relegated Crystal Palace. Unfortunately, there's only one relegation spot. But yeah, it was a great season. And people might say, well, Brad, they finished 10th, 3 seasons now in a row. The difference in points accumulation, the way they're playing, a lot less goals they are conceding. I said to you, Chris, that they finished 10th by quite a mile ahead of Crystal Palace in 12. And they did it by scoring the second least amount of goals. In fact, they had the least amount of goals until this game. And that just shows you how sturdy they've been at the back. And a couple of draws that had been held on to for wins or converted into 3 points, Chris, they could have finished as high as 6 and been looking at a dark horse for European football. So really good going.
Like you said, I mean, all right, they finished 10th for 3 seasons running. That is, like I said, there's only obviously 12 teams in the group. If you go back, let's say, for the 4th year, we finished 11th, literally just 2 points above relegated Birmingham City on a minus 39 goal difference. And that was our first season back up, in fairness, and we managed to stay up above Birmingham, who had finished 11th the season before. So to say that we have managed to do that, well, what did I say then? Minus 39. Minus 39, did I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, minus 39 goal difference. All right, we still got 4 wins, which was only 1 less than we got this season, but we had 17 losses. Now, compare that to this season, and we had 12 losses, 5 wins, minus 16. The position hasn't changed, but the actual performances have.
Yeah, and that first season, in all honesty, Chris, came down to the last 2 games of the season. I think they beat Birmingham by 2-1 in the penultimate game of the season, and then went on to beat Brighton or drew with Brighton in the last game of the season at the King Power to secure their safety. It didn't matter in the end. Birmingham lost, but they still needed that win to secure it in their own hands, and they've come a long way. People will say last year the disruption with the manager being dismissed, at the almost but not quite run in the FA Cup obviously played its part in what was still a great season, Chris. And whilst Leicester didn't really have that distraction this season, this was the key moment for Leicester women going forward, because they've got young, talented players, and the biggest difference is, Chris, is they're able to lure these talents in and keep hold of them because they see it as an exciting prospect. An announcement today that the championship will be reformed as the WSL 2 as well. So there's more money trying to go into the name of the brand of it, trying to get more money into the game of women's football, which is great. And if you're not a fan of that's absolutely fine. Don't worry. Women's football will have its own segment going forward next year. But this has been a great season, and seeing the quality of players that Leicester have, not just bringing in though, Chris, they're homegrown talents. I believe Missy Goodwin came back from 13 months out, a horrible injury she suffered, and came back with a goal in this game, Chris. And she's one of our own. And we now Wayne may, I don't know if he does, but I think Wayne knows of a Jeremy Monga that is 15 years old playing for the men's side. Well, Leicester City have their own 16-year-old that's been playing for the women's first team as well. So it's great to see, Chris.
And did she play for England as well? Or am I getting... There was a Leicester player in the England squad this season as well.
She did. I don't know if it was the main team or not, but she has been called up for England. And all I'm saying is, Chris, we'll have a dark horse for fighting for Europe next season.
Yeah, well, you could be. I mean, look, 4-2, and I have to say, even Sam Tierney got on the score sheet.
Yeah, you're one and only player that you remember to notice.
I've had to bring her name up, but yeah, she is. She scored in the 69th minute. Read into that what you will. Wow. Some may find that a hard fact to swallow, but it is very, very true. She scored in the 69th. But
some men might be licking their lips at that number.
Hey, and look, and if anybody turns around and says, and somebody did a long time ago when I put Leicester News into the Facebook, and I put this on the Facebook as well, what you doing talking about the women? This is the men's team. No, it's not. We are Leicester City, and we are youth, women, and the men. And let's be honest with you, the men haven't exactly been digging up any trees this season. But talking of trees, do you like what I did there?
I did. I know what you did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't know if Mr. Dawes probably gone. He probably popped in and then popped out again. Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 2. And I actually asked this question. We're not going to go into it in great detail. We're just going to pick certain things out because we do that in the post-match reaction after the watch-along. So, that's where we dissect it. But just to talk bits here. To me, and although I didn't watch the live game, obviously, against Southampton, as you know, but I did watch the highlights. And to me, this was a better performance against a better team than what we put up against Southampton.
Yeah, I think the strong argument could be made that this was our best performance of the season in terms of a 90 minutes performance. Yeah. Again, because you take everything into equation, Southampton, well, the dog shit. So, I think we could get a load of stragglers for Sunday League and then give Southampton a run for the money. Unless the Man City, of course, then you don't have to play football and then you get a point off them. But you look at the Tottenham win and people might say that's our best game of the season. We were pretty crap for 40 odd minutes in that game, It was the second half where we really came alive and turned the game on its head. Bournemouth, I'm struggling for wins here, Chris. That's how bad it's been this season. Bournemouth at home, well, realistically, Bournemouth couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo in that second half. We were coasting. Yeah. And, there's been, and there isn't many, but there has been some good performances. But from start to finish, this was... this was a really good performance for so many different reasons, Chris. Most notably was being 2-1 down and not giving up.
Exactly. I mean, we've got your tactics section coming up, and I'm going to be asking you then what has changed, because this, all right, we've got a couple of youngsters in, but this is essentially the team that we've been playing most of the season in a way, isn't it? We will come on to that, as we say. Look, Forest. There's not a lot to cheer about this season. Stopping Nottingham Forest from having automatic promotion into the Champions League, I have to say, is one of them. And if you check my BBC post out tomorrow on bbc.co.uk/Leicester City, you'll see that I extol that thought on there as well. Stopping them being, automatically, it's now out of their hands. Yes, they've got Europe. And look, we should say congratulations to Forest for getting into Europe. And I know it's great that two of the big six are struggling, but well done to them. But isn't it a great feeling to think we've actually... By getting that point, we actually stopped Forest getting that Champions League automatic spot?
Yeah, because all things aside, we haven't had much to cheer this season, and they would have done the same. And especially when, Chris, there was a point where Nottingham Forest fans were chomping at the bit for Leicester to still have something to play so that they could relegate us. Doesn't change a jot for us, but it's kind of like, well, yeah, good luck on European football, but well done on choking Champions League. Same grief they gave us when they were playing in the Championship and we was playing Champions League. We was up there every season. So, yeah, look, we've got to have some positives, haven't we? So, Sodom.
Yeah, and I know, obviously, we're going to come on to performances and ratings later, but Scott was very vocal in the post-match, and he, totally entitled to his opinion. I'm not saying he's not wrong and that we're right, but he was saying that he thought we were... Your opinion is wrong. But no, fair play to it. Look, we've all got opinions and that thing, these are only ours. These aren't necessarily the, right, but it's what we feel. And Scott, entitled to put it. So he was very strong in saying that he thought we were very lucky.
Yeah, and I'm just not sure how he comes to that conclusion because minus the goals and the shot that was straight at him, how busy was Stolarczyk realistically? And that's the key I go to. And I know goalkeepers union over here, but I always look at that because in other games, and you could look at the 2-2-1 against Brighton, you could even go way back when to like the 4-2 game against Arsenal, where had we got a point, it'd been the luckiest point of our lives. But realistically, Madsen made the most saves a keeper's made in a game of football. So that was lucky, and it would have been lucky had we got a point from that. And in the end, 4-2 kind of maybe balanced it out a little bit. You could have said, West Ham, we beat them 3-1, but we were luckier in that game because West Ham couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo, and we could, and we took the points. And they're the games where you kind of go, well, you've earned your luck, you kind of get it. The stats, as much as I'm not a fan of them. I don't really care too much for them because the only one that matters is the one that's, that's written there that says they scored 2 and we scored 2. I just don't conceive how you can be classed as lucky or you feel like it was lucky. I think you're misconstruing. Is that right?
It's easy for you to say. Misconstruing, yes.
The match, yes. Nottingham Forest had spells of dominating the ball. What we didn't see was them having a lot of open chances, clear-cut chances. We defended well. We were regimented. And like I said, -1 that I think was straight at him in the goals. I don't remember Stolarczyk pulling saves out of every angle and all as possible.
That's an interesting... I know we don't go into too many stats here because the show would go on till about midnight. But I just want to show this one because this is off the BBC and it actually shows match momentum. And if you can see the line down the middle, and you can see the first half, the yellow is Nottingham Forest, the white is Leicester City. And I thought we did very, very well in the first half, but it looked like Forest had most of the momentum. But you go up to the last half an hour, and it's all white. I guess you could say it's all white on the night.
Oh, you've waited all show, and we've only been going 19 minutes to say that, haven't you?
I'll go. Come on, I just line them up. I'll knock them in.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, and that's how you've got to interpret it. Yes, in that first half, Nottingham Forest got into our half a lot more. They were in more threatening areas. But in terms of actually creating chances, that last 10, 15 minutes, especially, Chris, that was what football really was. It was end to end. It was back and forward. They were backpedaling and we could have easily won the game. And had we won the game, I get the feeling from some Nottingham Forest fans, through gritted teeth, admittedly, might have said, well, for throwing the kitchen sink at us, you kind of deserve it because they weren't clinical enough and we took our chances. And had a certain 38-year-old maybe been a bit braver with some opportunities, we might well have done it.
I mean, I'll just quickly bring these up whilst I'm on this page. You can see there, Forest 55%, Leicester 44%, what I would probably call an even game, in fairness. XG, look at, I mean, at about, what time did I write it down here? Because I actually wrote it down. At 36 minutes, Forest's XG was 0.43, ours was 0.44. It's not often we've been above the opposition when it comes to XG. All right, we ended up there, but we still got over one. And again, that's not happened that much this season. 15 shots for them, 10 shots for us. That's not bad either. But shots on target, 4, and we had 6. We more than held our own against a team that, let's be honest with you, at the moment they're now sat in 7th. At 2-1, they're actually up in 5th. That, I'm thinking, where those performances been all season?
Yeah, it is one that begs the question, doesn't it? And I feel like it was a weird tactical change, and a bit of freedom helps. And I kind of agree with what Gray was putting in yesterday, saying it shouldn't take end of season freedom for it all to clear up, but it seems like something was initiated between the players and the has it? Sorry, I thought that. I thought it'd gone. I thought I was back. So I just saw your message, Chris. So,
that's all right, no problem.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take the last end of the season, like say, freedom. But that's usually the thing, because you have got, once you are relegated or once you are saved, you haven't got that pressure on you to do well. Southampton, well, let's be honest with you, even they had a good result of the weekend, a 0-0 against Man City, which means they're not the worst ever team that sticks with Derby County. Sorry, Derby. But, it does make a difference, and I know it shouldn't. But look, Dorco says here, can you confirm that Vardy can complete 500 appearances for Leicester by the end of the season? I don't know if he can. Yesterday was his 300th Premier League, I think, wasn't it? Or
yeah,
it was his 300th something or not, and I forgot to. I did write it down, and as I wrote it half down, forgot what the rest of it was. But it was 300 appearances in some guys.
Jamie Vardy has made 498 appearances for Leicester during his career, a record for the club. He's also scored 198 goals and 69 assists with Leicester. So he needs 2 goals, 2 more appearances, and stay on 69 assists.
Well, he's 109. Is he actually 199 goals because he got that one last week?
Yeah, so this isn't updated from that. So
I would guess, yeah, he's got one more game then, I would guess, for 500 appearances and 1 goal. I'm going to come on to Jamie Vardy later, actually. So we'll move on. But tell me, I mean, when this team was named, I kind of looked at it and thought, do you know what? Fair play after what they did against Southampton, because again, when we got relegated, Southampton finished bottom and beat us twice. They were very lucky not to beat us last time out when we played them earlier in the season, and AU popped up with his 96-minute goal. So I wasn't overly disappointed with the team. We could look pre-game and go, why Justin again? I know Koulibaly is absolutely, totally pissed off, and I don't blame him. He's been talking in the French press. But to be honest with you, when I look at that, that's probably as good a team as without trying youngsters, but that's as good a team as we could have probably put out with what was available.
Yeah, and something that's been a bit of a miss for Leicester this season, apart from some players and performances and whatnot, is the consistency. It was, when things have been going wrong for a while, changing things up, which, at least, epically failed. But Rude did try that with the 4-3-3 and the 4-3-1-2 and whatever it was. He did try to, stir some life into Leicester a little bit. But when you win a game and you're kind of just trying to keep players as confident as you can for next season, you know, you reward them. Because we've had our gripes, you know, that draw against Brighton, Nicoli's talk of man of the match hasn't featured since. So, you know, for once we had a consistent team that was able to go out there and get the job done.
What I don't want to tread on your toes for your tactics talk, but one of the things that I wanted to look at there is, and we'll talk about the defence. I'm sure you'll bring that up later. But I want to talk about Skip and Ndidi in the middle, because I have said, well, for many, many weeks now, and I think you may well have said it as well, Ndidi and Samari cannot play together.
Yeah, it just seems that they're being asked to do too similar a role and they keep getting in each other's way, whereas Skip seems to allow Ndidi and vice versa, allowing Skip the freedom to go and break free into that middle, just to give us that body and that flux of numbers going forward, Chris. Yeah. And again, we can sit here all day and we can sit here for the rest of the season going, oh, if only we'd been doing that from the off. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. It's quite natural to be very defensive minded and trying to shore up the back line than trying to go gun ho, because you lose games heavily through the gun ho approach. It's criticised. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But yeah, it seems that we have two defensive minded players, and if they're both playing on the pitch, it just creates a bit of chaos. And I think the same is a little bit with Winks. What I will say about Skip, Chris, and you might have to have emptied your bowels on both ends.
I am sat down, and I think I might need to be here.
Yeah, but you have to empty your bowels out of both ends after praising Wout Faes, your hero. Skip had a good game. I think it's something that's actually been missed in that midfield was a bit of aggression, because he's a bit of a klutz, isn't he? He's a bit of a klutz, but he's a clever klutz. And I'm going to be careful when I say that. He's a clever klutz, because what he does is he bundles into somebody, but he does it so clumsily that the ref kind of goes, I think he got the ball. Or he goes, well, it's a free kick, but no, come on. And he kind of gets away with 3 or 4 before eventually he gets booked. And I think he had a really good game, and he's kind of complimented Ndidi in that role. And it shows what happens when you get a few games run together.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has been very critical of Skip, and look, it's not his fault that we paid 20 million for him, or 21 million. I mean, he didn't say come and pay 20 million for me. It's what we chose to pay to get him from Spurs. Look, it's like Maguire at Man United, isn't it? But maybe him and Winks. I mean, it depends what happens to Ndidi. If you're talking Winks, Skip, and Ndidi and Sumari as the 4 sort of playing that role. You'd obviously like to keep 3, because you always want 1 spare one. Although we have got obviously Baybrook coming through, but I'd say I'm sorry, this might hurt you, but we've got to let Sumari go.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I feel like the most obvious one to go is Wilfred Ndidi, because there's a £9 million release clause, and although that's still a little bit on the cheap side, given his age and that, it's an easy sale.
Yes.
We've left Leicester's ongoing, hidden finances and apparently having money than not having money. A quick sale could be the key. But Samara is the younger out of them all, I believe, or at least out of him and Ndidi. So you can maybe find a way to maybe not recoup your losses. But again, if you're selling Ndidi for his release clause and you get 20 million for Samara, that's 29 million straight in the kitty that can get auctioned round. So I think it would be Samara that's going.
Maybe there. Defensive teams don't score many goals, though. I mean, also attacking teams don't win many games because they're letting goals in at the other side. It's about getting the right combination of the two, isn't it? And excuse me, when you look at Skip, although Skip I think he's listed as a defensive midfielder, but I don't think he is. I think he tends to go forward more than you would expect of a defensive midfielder, which is good because it does give you, like I say, that option, and he does seem to know with Ndidi, I'm going forward, you stay back sort of attitude.
Yeah, I think he's just a ball-winning midfielder, and I'll go more into that role later on and the difference between a central midfielder and a ball-winning midfielder, and the difference in the roles. But it allows him to kind of still depend on his defensive duties, where he obviously has some attributes in, because that's why he is known to be more defensive. And his ability to then get the ball high up in the field and keep the pressure on it inside, the opposition's half, which is what he did well, Chris.
Yes, and I've got to say, I'm just looking here on Transfer Market. In fact, they do have him listed as a defensive midfielder. But they also say he's also a central midfielder. So he's not an attacking midfielder, but he's also. I was trying to see how old he is, because he's bolding very early. Let's just say that,
Wayne Rooney was bolding after about his six months on playing.
I don't think he never started, really, did he? But look, that was the layout. And look, we know that this is the formation that Ruud van Nistelrooy wants to play. Whether he's here or not next season, we don't know.
He's 24 as well, Chris. He is 24.
24, is he? Right. I could be his dad. Bloody hell. But when I look at that, the thing that strikes me, as I'm happy about, is Jordan Ayew there in the middle, just behind Vardy. And that's almost like the second striker, if you like. Just sat behind Vardy. And when you stick him out on the wing, Jordan Ayew, I've always gone, oh my God, that's not his position. When he's central, and I thought, I was surprised with a lot of the substitutes, and we'll come on to that in a minute, but I thought he had a bloody good game, and if he'd stayed on, he would have been in the mix for my man of the match.
Yeah, he was very comfortable in a role that he's very comfortable in. And again, he kind of went back to the Jordan Ayew of the early season. Maybe it's one thing that both Cooper and Ruud shouldn't have tried to change, because I know we had the injury to Fatawu, which kind of scrambled, which would scramble any manager's brain, to be honest with you, on what to do to keep the width. That's a very difficult, young, prestigious talent to kind of put out there. So I kind of understood for a while whilst he went there. And again, unfortunately, he wasn't afforded the time to kind of maybe go, okay, that's not working. I'm going to put Jordan back where he has been playing, which is behind Vardy. Maybe it's just something that shouldn't have changed, Chris, because every time he's played there, you got told by, was it Rich, the Crystal Palace fan?
Yeah.
You asked him what we'd get with Ayew, and he said he'll be a nuisance for them. He'll win your free kicks in good positions. I mean, Dorco's just said the position spot on there. It's a false 9. Shinji Okazaki, and he's deceptively quick as well, isn't he, Chris? Sometimes he gets that ball in front of him and he gets to it and he's off. And I feel like certain little things like that can make a difference to this team. And you've just seen it in the performances as of late. And he's one, Chris, kind of could be the Steve Howard of next season, as in what we were in the League One days, where we lost a lot of players and we promoted a lot within, and we made a few signings that were a bit out there, but some that were good, some that weren't so good. But we had Steve Howard in that attacking line alongside Fryer, and he complemented him well, didn't he, Chris?
Yes. Like I say, we've got him for one more season. The bad news is we've got Dakova Reed for 2 more seasons. We have got Skip for 4 because he doesn't expire until June 29. So we've got to make use of him. I want to look at these if I can with you, because I don't like substitutes when they're made like for like. But I kind of get these because they are all like for like, except Canoose and Acoli. But I suppose it was just freshening it up, wasn't it? Because it had been a derby game, hadn't it? It was what you would call a typical derby game.
Yeah, it was, and they weren't actually as face value like for like as you would say. In terms of position wise, yes, they were very much like for like, minus the Canoose for Acoli, but we know why that happened. He wanted three centre backs. That's
93
fine.
minutes, just stick somebody on so we don't lose it.
You
the
want
back,
to
we don't lose it.
Yeah, we'd rather draw the game and miss the chance to win it than go for the win and concede a goal because we've thrown too many bodies forward. It was a smart substitution to make. But the thing is, you saw the natural difference in the goals more than anything, Chris. Thomas, obviously, on a yellow card, that plays a big part. I know you could look at Justin, but we haven't got anyone to put on for Justin. So,
No.
we do.
Oh, no.
He doesn't exist, Chris. He's a figment of our imagination. We don't.
Oh, is he? I really was convinced that we'd actually signed a right back. Maybe I'm wrong. Looking back,
I did my research, and despite everything, I'm just convinced now it's a figment of our imagination. An early April Fools, if you will.
Right.
But no, this is what I've always said about Victor Christensen. He gets forward and he does that overlap run. And I think I think Victor Christensen can be a good starting player, but the way he plays football and the way he wants to go forward was never going to be looked upon and admired upon when our team's mantra is, let's see how the first 60 minutes go, then we attack. Well, for most of the games this season, Chris, we've been 2 goals or worse down. So he's kind of not been done. He came on in the 77th minute, Chris, and whilst we lose that defensive stability, let me shut this door. While we lose that defensive stability that we get with Thomas, which is very, very, very assured and a great performance from Thomas, we got a burst of energy. And when we had, you look at the timing of the substitutions, Chris, and when the second goal was scored, Buonanotte being on a few minutes beforehand actually helped probably even find his feet and get his energy going. You look at the Samare, okay, that's probably more like for like. Focus, again, do more of your defensive duty. You just will shore it up like you do when we're playing defensive. That I get. The Canoes one we've gone through. The RU one is like for like in that attacking midfield role, a false 9 role, if you will, but it's his injection of pace, Chris. RU can get the ball just inside their half and then run 15 yards, but he's got to then let off a pass because he runs out of steam, or he's got to shoot, or he's got to go back. Whereas Buonanotte can get right in the players' faces, nick the ball off them high up, and that's obviously what led to the goal. And then Monga is again the same, more exciting, more energy injected, and just runs at people. So,
I think with the Brunetti one, I do get AU starting because we're not going to have Brunetti next season.
Well,
it's unlikely. Let me put it so then. It's unlikely we'll have Brunetti next season. I'm thinking that if he's going to be let out on loan again, he probably will go to a Premier League club, not a lower league club. But so I understand why AU starts, and like I say, I think he had a pretty decent game. Christensen, again, it makes me laugh because look, Luke Thomas is like he was born again over Easter, like your dad. It was like he's one of the players we're going to be building the team around next season. Everybody else, everybody in the past was saying, "Oh my God, he went to Sheffield United. He was bugger. He's never shit. He was never going to come back from that." And then Middlesbrough as well. And now he's probably first choice left back. Christensen, though, what I would call Gazza-esque in the way that he missed that header right at the end. You remember Gazza in the Euros when he was literally that much off, and I think that was his head. If he'd have got that in, my God, the blue end of the ground would have gone absolutely mad.
Yeah, it would. And again, obviously we don't know who's going to go at the end of this season. Well, we could always talk Chinese whispers about it. But he is a player that has the potential, especially with the pace of the Championship in terms of how quick games come around. There is a very good cause to see both of them play next year quite regularly and really blossom for Leicester. Obviously, Luke Thomas has kind of been like a half-broke lawnmower engine where he hasn't been able to get started, but this seems to have ironically kicked him on. I have been tongue-in-cheek saying all season, Chris, this is redemption arc FC, and all I'm saying is Christiansen, Thomas, Samare. The only one that has never got out the shed to be a part of redemption arc FC is Brody Daka, but that's asking too much, wasn't it?
Yeah, and don't forget you can include Skip in that as well.
Oh yeah, and Cody's one goal.
I think we should do at the end of the season. We should do a redemption 11.
Oh,
that is an idea, Danny Warding goal. Right, okay. Now, maybe not. Maybe let me take my tongue firmly out of my cheek here. I want to go back to Scott. I'm not picking on Scott at all, but he was the one that was saying we were lucky. And when you look at the basic stats here, if you hadn't watched the game and you'd have been somebody that had been in Spain or Greece, you'd come back and you looked at that, you would not say that there was a team in 7th playing a team in 19th, would you?
No. If you'd have just been told one of these teams is fighting for European football, and then you got asked to pick which one, you'd have gone, I don't know, both of them. You'd have gone, it's a trick question. They must both be up. If one of them's fighting for Europe, what's the other one fighting for? You'd be absolutely gobsmacked if you got told, well, one of them's already relegated and the other one fighting for Champions League. Well, got European, so I can't say fighting for European because they've got it. But it's definitely one that.
The one thing that it doesn't show on there is the shots on target, which we did have more of.
Yeah, it does show it on there. Shots on target, 6-4. It's a top stat.
God, at the top, yes.
Yeah, and again, Chris, you see that stat round at the bottom on full, on the BBC or on Sky. You're thinking, God, Bennett Leicester could have nicked that, and they really could have, Chris. We had 3 good chances to have nicked it during that game. So
totally. Now, how many times have I said this season? And again, I know you are not a lover of facts, and I'm trying to cut down on the number of facts that I look at, which is why I do that rather than do about 3 pages worth of them. This area and that area, etc. But how many times have I bemoaned our lack of activity in the opposition box? And I've come and I've said, look, we are a Premier League team and we've had 2 touches in the opposition box. It's annoyed me all season. Look at that. Again, you're talking about a team in 7th that's battling for Champions League against a team that's that awful that there were 5 games to go, they were relegated. And we had more touches in their box than they had in ours.
Yeah, and that is telling again of just how much more organised we were as a unit, because I would say, sadly, Chris, that 21 must be in our top 5 most touches in the box all season, which again, sadly, is saying a lot for the team. Obviously, we must have been really lucky to have 21 touches in their box, and Nottingham Forest only have 18. Scott's Fitzgerald.
Oh my God! Go, Scott Fitzgerald. You don't get that, do you?
No.
Scott Fitzgerald is a singer who did a Eurovision song for the UK called "Go."
Oh right, I was more on about the Scott's F Fitzgerald. Was he the right? I thought he was a butt writer.
We were completely at different ends of the scale with that.
We were, but still, it was nice to say that we, pinned Forest in their own half, didn't we?
Yeah.
In their own backyard.
We have complained a lot this season and moaned a lot this season about the ownership at the King Power Stadium.
Oh, I know where this is going.
last time I saw Top on the pitch post-match was the FA Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? I mean, first of all, can I just say, Mr. Nottingham Forest owner, whatever you are, thank you for making me look slim. what? I mean, I know Nuno and Mr. Pakiakis, whatever he's called, Kebab, they both played it down and said it's passion, it's football, blah blah blah. But he shouldn't even have been on the pitch.
No, I think that's the biggest gripe with it. Just save it till you're in the changing rooms, or once he's spoken to the players in the changing rooms, call him to one side. And I get the initial frustration, but don't do it on the pitch. I feel bad to say this, but if you put a Just Eat order, in the kebab house, put a kebab out on Nuno, and put a one. You just think he's gone in there to complain about his order, don't you?
A Deliveroo basket or something. Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, because of course he owns Olympiacos, who are in the Champions League, because they're like the Glasgow Celtic of Greece, so they're in the Champions League. He was told that, well, if Nottingham Forest get in the Champions League, you can't have that. Because you can't own, the same owner can't have two teams in that competition or any European competition. Sorry?
But why? Because that just seems like a strange.
I don't know why. I guess if they were to meet in the final and he preferred Nottingham Forest to win, he'd tell his Olympiacos players, like, I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Of how
But I don't know. But that is the rules, that you cannot have two teams. So, like, if we met, we couldn't play in the same European competition as OH11, for example. So what he did was he sold it, or he's put his shares in Forest into this holding account or something, and people are looking after it for him, which means technically he's not the owner of Nottingham Forest Football Club at the moment, and therefore that's why he shouldn't have been on the pitch. Although I've got to say, I'd give £100 to the steward that tried to get him off the pitch.
Oh yeah, Gil Bennett. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that would go well. But yeah, I mean, regardless whether you're the bloody tea lady or the owner of the club or a stakeholder or whatever you are, you shouldn't be on the pitch interacting. Yeah, I agree. Sit in the stand and then go home, mate. That's what most owners do. Well, actually, I say most owners. Most owners don't bother turning up to the ground. They're in a different continent. No, it's been confirmed that he was questioning the communication between himself, Nuno, that is, and his staff, his medical staff, as into why Sangaria, or whatever his name was allowed to go back on the pitch and wasn't substituted up, and what I felt it was in his interest to play. It was to do, and that it was because that incidentally led to the goal, because he didn't have the legs to move to kind of stop Vardy winning the ball in the air.
I've got to say, I was a little bit confused because we made 5 substitutions, which is the most you can make.
Well done.
Brendan Rodgers, I was just said that out there for Brendan Rodgers, But Forest had only made 3, and yet they weren't allowed to sub him off. I don't understand why that is.
That's a confusing one.
Yeah. Deedle may come back and tell us. He knows these things, but he made the substitution, but not the one he wanted to because of the injury.
He was planning. No, Chris. What was happening is he was planning to make substitutions. Then this niggle or injury occurred, and he wanted confirmation from his team, i.e., his physio team. Do I need to change my plans and take him off and make a different substitution, or am I okay to these 2 substitutes? Therefore, taking him to the 5 substitutions when he and the staff said, yes, he can go back on the pitch and play. Then they made the substitutes, and then, funny enough, about 5-10 minutes later, the player was trying to signal to come off, and that's when Nuno went ballistic, kind of went, well, I can't now, can I? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And that's where he was obviously explaining to...
this kind of goes on something that I'd read. They miscounted the windows. But you don't have substitute windows, do you? I mean, I read that deal somewhere else, but said we'd missed the window or something. But surely you can make substitutions from minute 1 to minute 99 if that's how long the game's played.
Yeah,
I don't.
there's like a consensus, isn't there, that unless there's an injury, you make your first substitute window is at half time. Your next substitute windows, in the first 15 minutes, then it's the last 15 minutes, and then it's to kill time. There is actually no rule or regulations that say you have to make substitutions by set times, unless something's changed without us fans knowing. Because otherwise, why are we bringing on a Coley in the 93rd minute? Surely that's not a window because it's past the 90th minute.
I know. I don't totally understand that. But then look, us fans aren't meant to understand it, are we? We're just supposed to turn up like sheep, pay our money, and do as Sky and TNT and the FA tell us. Yeah. Right.
Oh, we could stop Sky and TNT and stick a dodgy fire stick in. Oops.
We do not. Brad is not speaking for Leicester Till I Die TV. He's totally speaking for himself. Apparently, you only have 3 windows. Okay, fair enough, Daedalus. So you can make you can make 5 substitutes, but it has to be in 3 windows. Then I guess is what he's saying. Interesting. You learn something every day. Thank you for confirming that. Paul says Nuno body language told you he used the owner's rants. He used to the owner's rants and raves. God, that was difficult for me to say. I thought my teeth were better than yesterday. Brad, this is your moment. This is your moment. This is your glorious moment. No. Brad, tactic talk.
Yeah.
I will hand the stage over to you, young man.
So I was just looking at it. I was. Number of substitutions team can make. Substitution opportunity windows. These substitutions may be made during 3 designated opportunities during a match plus at half time. Nate, the rule doesn't make any sense because it doesn't say when the windows are.
Because you are allowed an extra one, aren't you?
No, you're only in cup games if it goes to extra time.
No, for concussion, I mean.
Oh, I think maybe for that, but
I guess what they're saying is that you can make up to 5 substitutions, but only 3 times during a match. So if you were to do 2-2-1,
so you can
plus
do it,
half time, so you can do it during the actual playing time. You can do 2-2-1 or 2-1-2. But if you do 1-1-1, that's it. Then that's your subs taken up.
Okay, well there you go. You learned something new. I thought that was like a thing that was like a unwritten thing, but I didn't know it was actually cemented in law.
I didn't as well. But thank you to Daedalus for saying that. Marinakis is being investigated in Greece. I didn't know he was in Greece. I thought that was John Travolta. You're the one that I want. You're the one that I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. I clip and I'm not clipping that. Go Grease Lightning, do 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 do. Grease Lightning, go Grease Lightning.
See what I have to work with, folks.
Oh, please. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go and leave you to it, Brad, because it is your tactic board here. Have fun. I'll be back in a...
Cheers, thanks for that. So guys, tactics. What changed? What was done that was too little, too late, if you will, for Leicester City? Well, first of all, as I believe it was Darko mentioned, Leicester stopped being completely defensive as a unit. What we've seen throughout this season, apart from the fact that it's been majority of it has been absolute dross and crap, is what we've seen is what you'd call the slow pressure technique, which is where if and I don't have the board ready. I didn't have anything to do because it's end of the season. If we go from the screen, if this is Leicester's goal and this side's the opposition's goal, I'll try and work it off the screen for your imagination. Leicester would spend the majority of their half and game here. They'd kind of go a little bit, but no real more. They'd be more content on trying to suffocate the opposition in their own half and limit their spaces and opportunities on goal than breach into the opposition's half. And we saw that with balls to Vardy or balls to Mavididi or Ayew, and he'd have 4 opposition players around him. Absolutely no there. And then what we'd do in the second half is we'd kind of start more on an even keel, still more focused towards our goal, but we'd see more consistent attacks going forward. And in the first part of the season, or first quarter of it, if you will, it was doing okay. We were 16th. It was doing okay. Then 2 managers tried to find a balance and they couldn't get them scales to level out. What has happened since Leicester's inevitable relegation was almost and has been confirmed? And I'm going to say was almost because I include the Brighton game in that and the Liverpool game. Now, what happened over these last 3 or 4 games is Leicester have been on a more balanced formation. They've still had the reassurances by having Cody and Faze play not as deep, so they haven't been all the way back down here. They've been more towards this area. If you say I'm halfway, they have been more, providing the errors that way, which in turn then creates a domino effect because Ndidi and Skip, instead of being here, were more here, more just inside the opposition half. And again, Ayew and Canoes and Buonanotte and Casey were then found here, and Vardy, well, to be fair, apart from the second goal, Vardy wasn't really found anywhere else. To be honest with you, but it was more of a balance. And that came with the style of players we had on there. And I know Chris talked about like-for-like substitutions, but because we had a more defensive-minded Luke Thomas on the pitch, someone who's more cautious in his movement, he does make overlapping runs and he does get down on the wing. And we all know he's suddenly now related to Rory Delap with his long throws, but he's always had a better ability at chasing back, shoring up our defence, closing down options. And the fact that he's been playing these last 2 games with Mo Salah still in his back pocket is a testament to Luke Thomas. So that allowed us to have the balance, and that's where all the Skip, funny enough, comes into it. We touched on that earlier in the game, but Oliver Skip, his ability to track back and help the defence out, as well as push forward with the ball, is what you call a ball-winning midfielder. Now, a ball-winning midfielder usually plays on a more supportive role. So like Chris said, with him registering as a defensive midfielder, he's usually collecting the ball off either an opposition player or his centre-back pairings in his own half. But if Leicester do go forward, he then drifts forward ever so slowly, not too advanced that he's in the opposition box and we're leaving gaps in behind down this end. But he's there that if the ball comes out cleared, half cleared by Forrest as it was, he's there to go and get the ball. He gets to the ball. He steps in front of the player. He keeps Leicester on the front foot. He doesn't do anything fancy with it. He probably goes unnoticed by a lot of you, but he'll get in front of the player. He'll get to the ball first. He'll pass it to Thomas, or he'll pass it to, Jordan Ayew, or he'll pass it, Christian Fuchs, another one there, Dorco, who could throw a ball into a box. But, he's very simple, very plain Jane, if you will. He's not got a box of tricks on him. He's not an N'Golo Kante or drink water with N'Golo Kante, if you will. But he's going to do what he's needed to do, and that is get the ball, pass it off, reset your position. And that's the difference. What we have been doing and what we have been playing with is Samare and Ndidi alongside each other, who individually are great at what they do. Allow Skip the freedom, or whoever's alongside them the freedom. You go and do your job. I'll focus on what I'm really good at and a lot stronger at, which is keeping that high line whilst being defensive. you can't do that with both of them, because all of a sudden you might as well play 4 centre backs, because they sit just in front of FaZe and Cody, and they sit so close to them that essentially, like I said, it becomes a back 4 without the wing back. So we're essentially playing 6 at the back, which, to be fair, that horror show that I never got to see, but against Newcastle, it felt like we tried that and it went horribly, horribly wrong, because oppositions just flooded us. And when you allow most sides in the Premier League to constantly come at you, eventually there's only one outcome. You're going to get flooded. And with them two things comes the final piece of the jigsaw that really worked. We didn't get too much of it from Canoes. It was probably one of his lesser noticed games, to be honest with you. Still pretty good games. But what we got, especially when we saw for it from Buonanotte, was the ability to pick the ball up in a position where they're already 3/4 into the opposition's half. They're not doing what we noticed them doing in games and we're moaning about was, well, they've got the ball and they're running forward, but they've just picked it up from inside their own half and had to run 20 yards to get us into an attacking position. Against Forest, they were winning the ball high up in their half and they were driving them 10, 15, 20 yards to get into the edge of their box and get into their box. And ultimately, the goal that Buonanotte scored that got us a point from the game came from a moment like that. They were in danger areas and not having to do the donkey work and created their own chance to go and grab a goal. And just that mentality of just going, we tried defensive, we tried super defensive, we tried all-out attack second half. Yeah, we did okay for the first quarter of the season, but we needed to do more. Had this been the way Leicester have played from the moment that Rude came into the dressing room, Leicester may have had something to fight for. And that's been the biggest tactical change. It's almost as if he was given signs of this when we played Brighton and West Ham in his first 2 games in the dugout. If only you'd have used what was right in front of your eyes, Rude, we might not have been in that situation. However, along with flux of youth, better substitutions, better acknowledgement of roles and what they can do best and how to get the best out of them, if this is taken forward into next season, maybe with Rude, that's the scary part, but whoever's in charge of Leicester, come June, July sort of time, let's hopefully have a manager in place by then. This is what they look at and they go, well, why did we change it? And that, Chris, is where Leicester have shed a little bit of light at the end of what has been a crap tunnel to walk down this season.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Yes, indeed. Do what you are being told to do there by the ex-players. Comment, like, subscribe. They're the main two. Like and subscribe. They are free. Brad, thank you very much, young man.
Not a problem. I enjoy that part of it. And obviously more next season because, like we discussed, the tactic board, it's not really worth doing when the season's dead and buried because who's really taking the credit? Is it Rude or is it players? But next season we'll have more of a go and be able to go in depth for it. But I like to talk about and discuss it as best I can. So I enjoy it.
Indeed. Your camera's gone again, mate. But just to say bad news, Alonso, who is leaving his job, he will be not coming to Leicester. He'll be going to Real Madrid. Apparently it was a I know. Very tough decision for him, but
yeah. Do you want to know something that's funny, Chris? You know what I'm like for making my wild assumptuous predictions at times. Yeah. I'm not talking predictions, as in the Premier League. I actually said, and this is gospel's truth, and I can't remember if I've said it to anyone else other than probably my dad and a few of my mates, but I actually said this about Xabi Alonso. I initially thought he would get the Liverpool job. However, I did say if not, he'll get an IN job like the one he's going to get. After they won the league by Leverkusen, I said they won't fall off a cliff, but Leverkusen will start to teeter a bit. They won't have a brilliant-ish season compared to last season, which was pretty damn near impossible to have, let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then he'll jump ship and go to what I assumed Klopp was going to do another season, but he didn't. And obviously Arne Slot's taken over. But I said he'll either go to Liverpool or Real Madrid. It's funny how the world works out, isn't it?
It is. It is. And of course, who's going to replace him? It's Fabregas. Fabregas is favourite.
Oh, well.
All move round. Right. Anyway, let me just finish writing these few things out. And are you ready to go up head to head with? I'm back this week because, of course, I didn't watch the match against Southampton, as I keep saying, so I couldn't actually comment on the players. A couple of weeks ago we did it. They were quite low. Do you remember? There was 3s and 4s in there.
Yeah.
We're talking 7 and 8s today. So let's have a look. So here we go. Player ratings. Do join in on the chat. We're not going to necessarily read them all out because it all gets confusing. But if you are voting, it does help if you just put the player that you're talking about down as well, so you know you're keeping up with us. Obviously, we're going to start with the starting 11, and we're going to start with the goalkeeper, Jakub Stolarczyk. Now then, Jordan Blackwell from Leicestershire Live has said he cut out crosses with punches and claims and made one strong stop to deny Dominez at the end of the first half. He can't really be blamed for either of the headers that did beat him. He gets a 6 from Jordan.
Yeah, I think he had a fairly comfortable afternoon. Again, Kasper-esque in the worst kind of way for his distribution and kicks. I think in the first half he kicks 3 out of play trying to hit Casey out on the left wing. But didn't really have a great deal to do, which was lucky, really, because, you know, his defence showed up for once and put in a good shift. Couldn't do anything about the goals.
No.
Was alert when he needed to be alert. I'm going to be difficult, Chris, just because Jordan's gone 6. I'm going to go 6.5.
I knew you'd do a half. You've got to get a half in for your goalkeeper. You always do, mate. You always do. Make me laugh. Well, I don't agree with you.
It's a shock horror.
I know.
Shall I get the love music out for you and Jordan?
No. Oh no, that is totally now. You've lost that as well with you and Boubakary. It is purely for Craig and Monga that now. I thought he had an excellent game. He made one really, really good save when he had to. All right, and I think this just shows you when you've got a defence in front of you that's actually performing. We can't always blame the goalkeeper. And I know I don't want to go back to sort of Danny Ward again, but, we said how awful he was, but how bad were his defence in front of him? I thought
he was still bad, mate. He was still bad.
Yes, he was, but was he as bad as? If he'd got a decent defence in front of him. But Stolarczyk, for me, had a good game. I'm actually going to give him a 7.
Chris, I've got to be better than everybody else.
I'm bugging the goalkeepers union. Prashant's gone 6 on that one. Right, let's move along to James Justin at right back. He didn't do a great deal. Oh, sorry, in Blue Fox. Need to be a little bit quicker there, Bluey. Jacob 7, so he agrees with me. I like the cut of that man's jib. James Justin, he didn't do a great deal wrong, but he did drift inside often, and that led to Dominez. I can't say that name. Domiguez? Have a lot of space. Him as well, both of them. Have a lot of space. Plus, even in coming inside, he couldn't stop Wood from scoring. He got a 5 from Jordan.
You said you felt sorry for, Koulibaly. I feel even more sorry for him because you was on about, saying what what secret nudes or blackmail pictures does Wild Face have of Ruud van Nistelrooy? Well, what the hell does James Justin have on him? Because the fact that the majority of the attacks from Forest, and probably other games it's been just as high, came down that side tells you how more they fancied their chances. And I'm sorry, but Justin has carbon copied that mistake time and time again this season for the second goal, where he kind of gets in the middle, but he kind of doesn't want to, but he kind of needs to because it's kind of his job, but he's not kind of sure if he should kind of do stuff. He should change his name to kind of, because he kind of defends when he wants. I hate to say this because he's such a young, promising talent who made his England debut playing for us, but the door is open for him to leave.
Four?
Yes, Victor Meldrew.
I don't believe it. Don't you go, fool? It was interesting that at the start of the game, in that first half, Nottingham Forest attacked down their left, our right. So they were going at James Justin. And it's almost like every other manager, 19 other managers in this league, can see that that is our vulnerable spot, apart from the one that we need to see that is our vulnerable spot, and that's the clown that we've got in charge at Leicester. But then in the second half, they did kind of switch it down to the left. I don't think he did, or he's had worse games, in my way. I think you've been a little bit harsh there. I'm actually going to have to disagree with you again, but I'm going to agree with Jordan, and I'm going to go a 5, I'm afraid. I don't think he was that bad. But Craig agrees with you. He's gone 4. Prashant has got 5.5. Tried, but he was not tall enough to stop Wood from scoring. And Blue Fox has gone 5.5 as well. So you started it off with these halves, you see, Brad.
You know what? You see you and Jordan. Oh, perfect picture. Here comes the threesome. It's Jordan, Wildface, and Chris, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know where.
Camera for that. You went straight on. He's blushing. He's blushing, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Go on, Chris. You have the starlight for it.
I don't even know if I've got this on the right way round or not.
That's probably why Wild Face has been so bad all season. He's only getting on backwards.
Hang on. Let me there. I think that's the gap there. Oh, how did he manage this? You know, I've suddenly got a lot of time for my daughters. Here we go. Right, about phase. Hello. A strong defensive showing from the Belgian. It was a mistake-free outing, and he put himself in the right position to win a lot of headers as Forest crossed from both flanks. He got a 7 from Jordan.
Do you want me to save the moment for you, Chris? Okay. Don't worry, I'll save the moment for you.
I'm happy to go first if you want me to.
No, we'll save your love letter till the end, Chris. It's all right, don't worry. I think you had a really good game, a solid game. I think, whilst unfortunately we probably get this Wout phase turn up 1 in every 5 games, it was good to see this Wout phase turn up. And again, for someone who gets a lot of slack in his local newspapers back home, and every transfer winner's linked with a move away, he seemed very passionate to celebrate the goals.
Didn't he just? Yes.
Yeah. So for someone who's apparently got a face on him like a smacked heart half the time, he put in a very showing performance. I'm going to give him, now guys, this is going to sound low compared to Chris's love letter and his rating. I'm going to give him a 7.5, but Chris, over to you.
You're just jealous. Get a room. Oh, there was a time you had hair like this. Now, yes, I think he was our best defender. I know Cody got the goal, and we'll come on to him in a second. But for me, Wout Faes, I've not seen him have a better game all season. For me, this was his best game of the season. And it's difficult to say that because so many other players played well as well. You know, and we said, didn't we, on Saturday after the match, that this was one of those games where we probably wouldn't all agree on the same man of the match, where a lot of games this season we've all gone, yeah, there's only one we can go for, sort of thing. I'm going to go, and I'm impressed that you've given him more than Jordan, but I am going to go 8.5.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that right. It wasn't a 0.85. It was an 8.5 by Chris for Wout Faes.
It may never happen again, no matter how long he stays with us. But look, I said before, and you said before, when you've got a player that you criticise a lot, you have to be prepared to say they did well when they do.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have many occasions where I had to do it with Jose Perez, but he was my he was to me what Wout Faes is to you this season, isn't he?
Yes.
You know, I was very critical of Jose Perez, but when he did have the odd good moment and good game, he got his
Samare, you know, we criticised Samare, but I think he was probably our man of the match against West Ham, was it? Or Villa, whatever, when he scored the goal. You have to sort of go with both ways. So I've got to say that's why he won my man of the match, because this was not necessarily better than other players, but it was a performance that I wish we could see week in, week out. Craig has gone phase 5 for his love for Chris. I think it's the other way around, actually. I don't think he loves me that much. Prashant, phase 6 and 10 for Chris for acknowledging his performance in yesterday's game. Thank you. Blue's gone 6 as well. And Prashant says, sorry, 11 for Chris with the new hairstyle. That makes me man of the match.
There you go, then, mate. Well done, mate. Man of the match.
Oh, dearie me. Right, let's move on quickly because this is itching. Connor Cody. He was alert for his goal, showing the qualities of a striker to finish the rebound, but defensively he didn't attack his zone well enough for Gibbs White's header from the free kick, while Wood peeled off him for the second. He gets a 6 from Justin.
To be fair, again, a bit like you with Wout Faes, I've been very critical of Cody. It seemed like his Leicester City seasonal highlights were going to be giving away 2 penalties. But played well, resolute. It actually seemed like the team was listening to him as he commanded the side and scored a goal, was first to react. I mean, admittedly, at first I thought it was Jamie Vardy, the way he reacted and nodded.
I did, to be honest with you, I did.
But yeah, fair play to him. So yeah, I haven't always done this season, but my usual mantra is, unless one of them does something really bad or really good, I pair them up together, and I'm going to do exactly the same here. 7.5 for Mr. Connor Cody.
7.5. I have to say, I actually thought it was Vardy that scored the goal from a distance. Fair play to him. We're going to say this so many times. Where has this performance been all season? I was impressed with him. This is what you want your goalkeeper, your defenders to do, is go up for the set pieces and attack the ball. How often have we said all season again, when the opposition score, where were the defence?
Yeah.
And you've got to say that about Forest defence. Where were they? They were nowhere to be seen. I was going to give him 7, but he gets the extra half for the goal.
Yeah, I've got to give him a minute.
That's all right, yeah. Cheers, Craig. Brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Let's just catch up with Cody. Take care, mate. Prashant 6, Blue Fox 6, and Craig has gone 6 as well. So 6 all round for Cody. Up next, we've got Mr. Thomas. And Jordan says, you can't fault his effort, and he was heartily applauded by the City fans when he was substituted. But he really struggled against Elanga, giving away free kicks and with lots of crosses coming in from his flank. He gets, I think, a very harsh 4. Would you like me to go next, Brad? I think he does. I think that's very harsh. Yes, he gave away the free kick against, for which led to the goal. Who's to say that they wouldn't have scored the goal if they hadn't had the free kick? You know, at least he's doing his job of defending, and that's what we want these players to do when they're in the defence. I think 4 is really, 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 really harsh. So I'm going to go for Thomas. I'm going to go 6.5 because I think that was very, very harsh of Jordan. I thought Luke Thomas had a decent game. As Brad has been saying, all season, Redemption United, City this season, and he's one of them. And I think that we are now saying that we could build our team next season around him. I think speaks a lot of him, and he's stuck at it. He's now getting the praise he deserves. So well done. Prashant says, me too. I thought Vardy scored the first one. I was actually a bit disappointed with the goal when I realised it wasn't Vardy's 200th. Dorco, a Leicester lad, is only going to get better, 6.5 to 7. Love his throw-ins. It does seem to wind the crowd up, that they're always shouting that he's over the line or whatever. And Thomas, a 6.5 for Prashant. He agrees with me. We're going to carry on because I don't know when Brad's obviously got something that has come up. So we'll move on to Wilfred Ndidi. Yes, indeedy, as they, of course, always say. Everything was a little frantic with wild clearances and a lack of control over his passes at times, but he did his defensive duties well enough and was solid. And he gets a 6 off Jordan. Now, I've not been indeed his biggest fan this season, but it's funny, isn't it? Like, when you get a performance like this, that it seems to lift the whole team. I wasn't noticing wayward passes, and I've been the first one to criticise wayward passes from Ndidi in the watch-alongs before. In fact, if anything, it's drove me absolutely wild seeing him pass it to the opposition, pass it out. Another 6.5 from me, I'm going to say. Don't know if you guys think anything different, but 6 from Jordan for Ndidi, 6.5 from me. Let's move on and do Oliver Skip. Skip to Milou. Prashant's there, 7.6, 7 for me, he says, sorry. I thought he handled things well and moved forward. Like I say, to me again, the whole team, it was one of the better games, wasn't it? And Dorco, I wouldn't miss Ndidi next year, 4.5. Ooh, harsh Dorco. I wouldn't miss him next year. I wouldn't mind seeing, like I said, out of the 4 midfielders that we seem to rotate round, Soumare, Skip, Ndidi, and Winks. Look, Winks isn't going to come back, I don't think, if Rudy's here. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it would be Soumare. I'd be very happy to see Winks and Skip together. Thomas 7 and Ndidi 6.5, said Blue Fox. Oliver Skip. There was one brave block and a couple of decent forward passes, but otherwise it was a poor outing for Skip. He gave the ball away to set up dangerous Forest moves or end City attacks, while there were moments up front and at the back where he wasn't providing the support he needed to. Again, got a 4 from Jordan.
I am back, Chris. I've had an order turn up, so I'm just kind of off camera now, but I am back.
That's okay.
To talk.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. I just wasn't expecting it.
That's all right. No, I mean, if you need to go, I didn't know whether there was an emergency or anything. You know.
No, there was something that happened, but I wasn't expecting it to be today, and I just had to go and sort it quickly.
No, it was no problem at all. Well, let's go back before we do skip. Let's go back to Thomas. He got a 4 from Jordan, and I gave Thomas 6.5.
Sorry, Chris. I'm sure I heard you right, but I'm pretty sure you said that he gave him a 4.
Yeah, he actually said,
go on.
You can't fault his effort. He was heartily applauded by the City fans when he was substituted, but he really struggled against Elanga, giving away free kicks with lots of crosses coming in for his flank. Look, yes, the free kick led to their goal, their equaliser, but... Or was it the second goal, sorry? But
no, it was their equaliser.
It was their equaliser, yeah. But his job is to stop their players attacking. Yes, they give fouls away. His passion in winning that ball and giving away the free kick was there to be seen. Yeah, I've given him 6.5, but he only got a 4 from Jordan.
Well, I think you're absolutely on crack, Mr. Jordan. Because yes, he had moments where he was overrun. I'm not going to deny it. It's a very good and very powerful attacking and midfield source that Nottingham Forest threw at us. But I think he was very good. In fact, along with others at the end, Chris, he was in the talk for man of the match, and he was my man of the match. I think he was defensively strong.
He was your man of the match. You're quite right, yes.
I think in terms of players that, were expected to be done, dusted, see you later, arrivederci, we'll cancel your contract and give you away in a raffle, he's come on leaps and bounds, and I thought he was really good. I'm going to stick with my man of the match rating, and people may think I'm on some drugs with how high I'm going, but I believe I gave him an 8.5. Did I not? Or did we do?
I don't know. No, you gave 8.5 for the performance. Yeah,
I'm going to give him an 8 because I've given 7.5s out, and that will be, spoiler alert, as it usually is the case, my rating is the highest.
Well, then we came on to Ndidi. Now, Ndidi, I'm just down here. Everything was a little frantic with wild clearances and lack of control over his passes at times, but he did his defensive duties well enough and was solid. Got a 6 off Jordan. I'm very critical usually, as you know, of Ndidi, and it annoys me how easily he gives the ball away. Or plays it out, instead of passing to somebody, he passes it to a fan. But I thought he did okay. I gave him 6.5.
Yeah, I don't think he was as bad or as erratic as Jordan was making out. In fact, I think it was probably one of his games where he went under the radar a little bit because, to be fair, most of what happened went through him. And not in terms of he got the ball and we got forward. What I mean is the passages of plays from Nottingham Forest was more focused on the wing than through the middle. So it wasn't really a need as much as usually has been. I would go with a 6.
Yeah. Not one of his worst. It was just good, wasn't it, really? Right, here we go then. We are up to date and we are going to do Oliver Skip. There was one brave block and a couple of decent forward passes, but otherwise it was a poor outing for Skip. He gave the ball away to set up dangerous Forest moves or end City attacks, and while there were moments up front and at the back, he wasn't providing the support he needed to. He got a 4 off Jordan.
Someone who's been critical of Skip this season, I think that's very harsh. I think he was getting himself about aggressively, stirring trouble up, getting in Forest players' heads, got a card, granted.
Yeah.
But I think he had a decent game. And I'm going to match him up with Wilf, and I'm going to give him a 6.
And I agree totally. I've given him a 6 as well. Not one of his best performances for me,
No.
but I think he did well enough and got a 6. He got a 5 from Prashant. I believe he could have done better. There is potential there. 5.5 from Blue Fox. And yeah, Dorco, Skip and Winks could be a very confident midfield duo. I don't think we'll see Winks, and that's the shame if Ruud van Nistelrooy is still here next season. But there we go. All right, next up we have Mr. Casey McAteer. He won a great header in the build-up to Cody's goal and worked ever so hard, battling up front and giving great support at the back. He put in one excellent tackle on Anderson on the edge of his own box. He got a 7. 7.
Yeah, I think not one of his better games for being able to get forward, but that's probably more credit to Nottingham Forest and how they try and shut teams out. But one thing, and again, a little bit like Luke Thomas says, this guy seems to already be like 10 steps ahead of his own future at Leicester. He knows Fatu is around the corner. He knows he's recovering, and he knows there's a good chance that if there's a huge clear out and money brought in, there's going to be some spending done in the summer. And what he's done is done something I didn't think he was capable of doing. And that is, not only has he nailed himself down as a starter for Leicester City over these last few weeks, but he's even proven to me that, all right, not top half, but a lower half Premier League side player, he definitely is. His attitude, he's broadened his shoulders over this season. I think, again, he played a bit of that with some of the Forest players, got in their heads, same with the officials, quick word in the referee's ear there. And I think he might just have managed to have nailed down a place in this Leicester City side going forward, especially with what's ahead of Leicester, which will be, providing we don't get knocked out in the first 2 rounds of the Carabao Cup, will be a 50-game season. So I was very impressed with him, and I'm going to give him a 7.
7. By his own standards, and that's what you're going to say. Sometimes these players are too good, and when they don't live up to that standard, then we can get critical. I am going to say, I'll agree with you both, because I hope he's not one that is actually thrown to the wind, if you like, because yes, you got Fatawu, and yes, you got Mavadidi, and I guess those two are going to be your starters, aren't they? But you need the squad next season. Yeah,
and you might have Kanoos and Buonanotte there next season, so you might need someone to play in a different role as well.
Exactly. So I do hope he stays. I do hope we don't, like I say, throw the baby out with the bathwater and think, well, let's get some money for him, because he's young, and I think he is one that we can look at probably keeping. Now, McAteer has got 6 off Blue Fox. Thank you, Blue. Moving on to Jordan Ayew. Now, then, Jordan Ayew, what does he get? He looked much more at home in a central role. What have we said that? And he was able to receive the ball with his back to goal and hold it, winning a few free kicks. It allowed City to get up the pitch in periods when they were struggling to. However, in the second half, he was bypassed and was withdrawn on the hour. Funny enough, everything we said, 6 for him. I'll let you talk at the moment because I've just got to update something, so forgive me.
Yeah, it's almost like player in his favourite position, and he plays really well. Next season may get his wish of more first-team football, starting 11 first-team football. Not just because we don't have El Kanous, potentially don't have El Kanous anyway, should I say, or Buonanotte available to him, but we need an experienced head to be leading that line in one position or another, either as the false 9 or as the leading striker. Yeah. very assertive, was an absolute menace, won free kicks for us, played his part right up until he was taken off. Very, very unselfish. There was moments where you thought, oh, you could keep hold of this ball and maybe go a bit further, but he passed it on. But yeah, I mean, a solid performance, and I'm going to give him a 7.5, Chris. Do you need me to keep talking?
No, yes, for 2 seconds.
Very well done. Look, future with AU is the way to go. We've spent many a year building our front line, if not the entire squad, in terms of players we bring in to suit a tactic, to suit Jamie Vardy. Maybe this is now, at least for next season, the plan, not to build around IU's talents, but to build a team within IU in what he brings to the squad and what he's gonna bring on.
Yes, indeed. Sorry. Right, I will be literally. I just realised I had got an incorrect thing coming up, so I was just trying to update it.
For God's sake, call your bloody Arthur.
Here we go. Right, so that was Jordan AU. Now I'm going to give Jordan AU an 8. Because I gave Bout Phase 8.5, and he was my man of the match. So I'm going to give AU an 8. And I thought he was very much almost my man of the match. In that, but if we'd just gone on like man of the match for the first half and man of the match for the second half, then he would have definitely got the first half man of the match. He did. Look, what Jordan is saying there that he does is what we were told he would do. Why stick him out on the wing? He's wasted. I mean, yes, he'll always get you free kicks because he'll do that where, if you play him in as a centre back, that, he can do that. But in that centre role, and next season, when he gets the ball, he can hold it up and wait for Fatawu and Mavadidi to be there and pass it off to them. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope that he stays and Dakova Reed goes, if I'm honest with you. So I'm going to go 8 for him. Prashant has gone 7. Blue Fox has gone 6. Opposition players don't like playing against him. They don't, exactly. And look, he wasn't my favourite signing, was he, Brad? Let's be honest.
Mr. OAP. No, he was not.
No, but out of the 2 OAPs we've got up front, he could be, and we might really, really need him next season as one of the older heads. Mr. El Canoose, he wasn't as effective stationed on the left in the first half, but when the ball did come to him, he showed his quality. He had a calmness about him and chaos, and caused amid the chaos in the second period too. A 6 from Jordan.
I mean, yeah. Again, we've been so dependent on him throughout the season, if you will, for him to be a creative spark. I mean, for a few weeks, he was the only person that knew how to hit the ball towards the thing being hurt by white poles, and that was, shooting. Yeah, in shooting terms. And in a good way, Chris, he had 3 or 4 others that stole the limelight off him today. Yesterday, sorry, should I say? Still, the effort he puts on, I'm going to be gutted if his release clause is true and we end up selling him for 20-odd million, because he's got the potential to be a real good Premier League player, and a season with us in the Championship and a hopeful bounce back up mentor, could be the way he benefits Leicester and himself, but we'll see. However, on this particular performance, I'm going to give him a 5.5.
Wow. I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think it's a case of he's been so good that when he has an average game, and let's be honest with you, you could say about a lot of players that them not standing out means they're doing the job. I'm going to give him a 6.5. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. He is very desperate to impress, says Dorco. Jamie Vardy, 6 from Blue Fox. Jamie Vardy, let's have a look. He wasted one chance with a few poor touches and an overhit pass, but he did deliver the deft touch to set up Buenette's equaliser. He gets a 5 off Jordan.
Yeah, again, played his part in the goal, which probably saved him. 2 chances that I don't understand why Jamie Vardy's not smashing them into the back of the net, or at least attempting to. Bit disappointing, because this could have been the game where he got 200 and he had that opportunity, and that pass to McAteer. Well, the fact that he went out for a goal kick showed you how difficult it was to get it to him without it going out of play. Why are you not hitting that, Jamie Vardy? Why are you not smashing it into the net and really turning the game on its head? And you saw his reaction to it, which told you how, silly he thought his decision making was at times. I'm going to be kind because he got technically an assist, I think, awarded to him for the second goal. I'm going to give him a 5.
You're going to give him a 5 and agree. Yeah, he did get the assist for the second goal. I don't want to say too much because this is going to be the main point of my BBC post tomorrow. Do check it out, guys. It's usually up from lunchtime on bbc.co.uk/LCFC. What I have said is next season we're not going to have Jamie Vardy, and I am going to miss him. I think we're all going to miss him, aren't we, Brad? Let's be honest. We're going to miss him for his goals. We're going to miss him for his shithousery. But we're also going to miss Jamie Vardy, the sportsman. You could argue that a lot when he was getting his penalties, a lot of those may be questionable. But I don't think you could ever call Jamie Vardy a diver. Like you can with some players. I think if that is a lot of other strikers on 199 goals, you would see them hitting the strike. He had one shot basically in the whole game, I think any other striker, you'd see them having more shots in an attempt to get that 200. What we saw here was a performance where he was more concerned about the team getting the win than him getting the 200. Yes,
which I always appreciate.
Yeah, and I think we would love him to get the 200, don't get me wrong. But the fact that he was prepared to say to Joey Monga, look, you're 15, this could be your moment, youngest ever player, you're in a better position than me, you have a go. And it was a fair attempt for Monga. I'm actually going to give him a 7 because of that, because of his unselfishness.
I see your logic behind your reasoning there, and I can't argue with it.
That's very decent of you to say, sir.
I was going to say something sarcastic, but I'm not. No.
I was waiting for the but, if I'm honest with you. Vardy 5 says Prashant. I wanted to quickly mention that though I respect Forest and their fans, I did do a bit of shithousing and kept reminding my friends who are Forest fans of yesterday's score. Wouldn't expect anything less of you, Prashant. Good man. Yes, he did get a few penalties. 200, 500 Vardy, yeah. So yeah, that's why I've gone for that. So we are then on to the substitutes. So we'll run through these very quickly, Brad. Bubake Samare, he got a 7 off. Bloody hell. He got a 7 off Jordan Blackwell. Made good blocks on the edge of the area and surged forward with it as well. His charges made City much more effective on the counter. A good half hour. 7.
He probably did something more of note in that department compared to what probably Wolf was doing for us for a bit and Skip. I wouldn't say it was a 7, but there probably was, a clue behind the injection of pace in the middle of the park. I'll give him a 6.
You're giving him a 6. I'm giving him a 5.5. He didn't do anything bad. I didn't see a moment where he was puffing to get back and was letting all the opposition players run past him. But he didn't.
He's probably a heavy smoker, isn't he?
Indeed. Buenete, what a cameo. He was into the thick of the action immediately, charging down Morato to set up Vardy and not giving Forest defenders any pace. Then he dribbled and finished brilliantly for his goal 8, and I believe that makes him man of the match for Jordan. And let's just say that Buenete was also Tom's man of the match and Jim's man of the match as well.
He was, and he was nearly my man of the match. But kind of like with you, with Ayew,
He was your deserves a mention.
It was my deserves a mention for the fact that it's not often, Chris, we sit here and talk about a substitute making such an impact to the game. I talked about it in my tactical part about the high press. Well, he's a pure example of a player that thrives off that high press and trying to win the ball up closer to the opposition box than his own half. Because once he got that ball and he was in space, Chris, he was able to sort his feet out, get going with it, and scored a really, really wonderful goal. You haven't changed the picture, but for me, see, his best performance in the Leicester shirt, and I'm going to. I want to amend something, but I need your permission. So if not, I'll stick with my rating. I obviously always give my man of the match higher than anybody else. So if I'm allowed to put Luke up to an 8.5, I'll say 8. If not, I'll go 7.
No, I've upped you to 8.5 for Thomas.
I think he had such an impact. He does deserve a really high number.
Yeah. An 8 is fine, and an 8. So 8.5 for Luke Thomas, 8 for Buenete.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not often you get a substitute that makes such an impact, and then suddenly it makes your manager look like a tactical genius, doesn't it?
Or a moron for not playing him.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Buenete is, I don't always. It was this concussion, not being able to play or whatever. But I sometimes think he's one of those players that you don't get. He's not consistent. It's peaks and troughs with him. Yeah. He's either up here or down here. He's never got that, which is probably what you need. Look, I'm not miles away from you. 7.5 for me. Christensen gets the 6 off Jordan. Fed the pass into Vardy for the Buenete goal and got forward down the left well. He wasn't tested defensively with City on the front foot for most of his time on the pitch and was a pubic hair away from getting the winner. Yeah,
that was. It was. It was a great performance all round, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you haven't changed the picture. I'm waiting for you.
For fuck's sake. Honestly, I need to. If you want to come and wipe your arse as well. Yeah. Thank you. No. Thank you, sir. I do tell you to remind me. But I thought you had frozen then.
No, I was just being pedantic. No, look, again, a bit chalk and cheese with how Luke Thomas and Victor Christensen go about their duties. But I think he came on and affected the game in his own way. He stretched that Forest defence because he was willing to go forward with it. I think Leicester going to a makeshift back three until they actually put a Coley on was definitely helping him in his ability to allow him to venture forward. Also having Forest under the cosh played into his hands. Like you said, that much closer and he'd have scored a fairy tale winner.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be. But one of Christian's better performances, because the state of play allowed him to play his way, I'm going to give him just a 7, a flat 7.
7. I've given him a 6.5. So again, not a million miles away. And we haven't seen him in the Championship because, of course, last season when we were there, he was out on loan. But I would like to see him actually next season as part of the squad because I think, again, he could cause problems. I think we're going to have a very fast team next season. Monga, he came so close to a win. He had a look at goal with a bending shot, but then stung the palms of Sells right at the death. He looked confident, carrying the ball well, and got into great positions and attacked 7.
Wayne will be getting an erection watching this.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. Can I just say? So I just have to say that I actually reload these up into TikTok, and StreamYard are very good in actually they automatically do clips of certain parts of the show. I really hope that one's not chosen as one of the clips that they do.
Otherwise, we'll have to be stood in front of a jury of peers explaining what we meant when we said Wayne.
Yes. Can we just say that all this is allegedly?
And all this could be taken right out of context of how it's meant to what it means to be perceived, all right?
You stop. You do this to me every now and again.
I have my moments, don't I?
You do. Wayne, it wasn't me.
Yeah, that's what Shaggy said as well.
Again, wrong choice. That hole is getting bigger. Just move on, Brad. Move on.
Okay, Brad.
I don't know, but this might just be wrong.
Wait will be having the FBI knock on his door after this stream.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Wayne. I just couldn't resist this. Oh God! I'm going to give Monga 7. I'm going to jump straight in there. I'm going to give him a 7.
For it, mate. I don't think there's much else I can say. Play 7.
That's not going to get us held up in court. No.
No. I don't want to go to jail. 7.
7. Flash out it, guys. Remember to breathe. Daco says Monga is not lacking confidence. Passion says Monga 7 for me. Really should. Showed, I mean, he said how he could win games even with the limited play time. Coley gets a not available from Jordan because he was not on the pitch really that long. I got to say, I don't think he probably was one of those where he didn't touch the ball like Golding. I don't know. I can't really give him anything. I'd be unfair to rate him.
He came on. I'll be honest with you. I can't rate him.
No, that's fair enough. Right, okay. Gladly, there we go. Just to show, I did have his picture up, but I was distracted there. Let's have a look at the manager. Look, it's very easy to say well done when things go well. Ruud van Nistelrooy, tactical genius. He got all the subs right. He did everything right. He set up right. Probably deserves more than he probably got from us for the Southampton game. What are you going to give him?
I'm going to give him a 7.5. I got the lineup right. It would be so easy in this situation, especially after Southampton, to kind of still fold.
Yeah.
And put Monga on from the start, which Wayne would have loved. Play Jake Evans and
stop it.
Drop Vardy and all sorts. But he got it right. He got the substitutions right. He read the tempo of the game for once in his life. No matter what's gone on the pitch throughout the other 30 games of the season, we go on game by game basis. It's a 7.5 for us. I think he did really well for once.
I won't argue with any of that. I haven't gone as high as you have. I've gone 7, but 7.5. There we go. Now we don't do this now. Well, we unfortunately, Alan did not have any battery left in his phone until he got home. So the official team performance and man of the match is done by Alan, who goes to the matches, and you can see a lot more at the matches than you can on a TV camera. So on his team performance, now then, Brad, you gave, let's have a look here, team, you gave, what did you give? You gave 8.5.
I actually gave the collective average, actually. Oh, was that good?
You did. I actually went 9 because of who it was and what they were playing for. I think this is a little bit harsh from Alan. 7. And in fairness, I've got to say, he actually started as a 6.
Oof.
But I know. But then he did message me and said, could I please put it up to 7 if you haven't posted it yet for the last 20 minutes? So I know. I thought 6 was a bit harsh.
6 is definitely harsher than 7, but yeah. I think it's still been a little bit harsh, but I can sort of see where he's coming from. There was obviously spells of controlled pressure by Forest, but I thought it was definitely higher than a 7. Yeah, it said 7.5, and I might have been okay. A bit low, Alan. Are you Jordan in disguise?
Yeah, to say that it started with the 6, but look, he's there. He's the official guy he's the guy that gives the official Leicester Till I Die ratings. You know why the number 6 is so scared, don't you?
Because it 8, 9.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah, 7, 8. Yeah.
You nearly got that right.
No, I missed the middle part of the joke.
You did. The official man of the match. Now this is interesting because you went for Buenete. You went Thomas, didn't you?
Yeah.
I went Faze. You may have noticed me going for Faze. I'm not putting it on again. It itches too much.
It's not like I've posted it up on social media.
Alan went for Buenete. And he said, not just for the goal, because it did seem to, that last rush that we had seemed to coincide with him coming on the pitch.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, he came on Buenete in the...
he was the earliest of the substitutes, I think, on the hour mark.
Yes, I think you are right. Yes, he did. So he got the man of the match, which, I mean, there's so many could have gone, but he did seem to tie in with that. If only he could have done that every week, and I say that is the problem. I'm going to have a deserves a mention, and I give this one out. I didn't last week again, as you know, but I am this week. I'm going to go back, and I am going to give it to this gentleman here. Deserves to mention, Mr. Jordan Ayew, because I think we criticise him so much. And I think he had a good game. Yes, maybe not as good in the second half, but that first half was probably the best 45 minutes, apart from when, I know he scored goals, but the best 45 minutes of all-round play he's had. So my deserves a mention, and therefore the official one is going to be Mr. Jordan Ayew. Although you did give it to Buenete. I think we've got to say, fair play to these players when they do sort of, put the effort in. Match Donkey, I've got to say, we normally do this, and again, this has been tougher sometimes than the... Oh, you're right there. Tougher sometimes than doing the man of the match. But I have to say that no Match Donkey this week. We're not giving one, are we? Because I don't think he deserves it. Although, I suppose Jordan would have given it to Thomas or Skip for getting 4.
Probably, but he's a knob.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, we've usually struggled and had our arms twisted to give a man of the match, but it'd be very harsh after a performance like that to give anybody a donkey of the match because nobody made any real mistakes, really.
Exactly. They didn't. I've just been chucked out of my my computer, but I do believe. Why does Google always ask you to prove who you are when you're in the middle of doing something, and not when you first log on? That, I think, young Bradley. Yes, it is. That is it. So, thank you very much, sir.
No problem at all. Always enjoy it, mate.
I do indeed as well. And we've got pretty much. We were very close in our markings.
Well, you know, sometimes my genius rubs off.
Thank God you're not Wayne.
Yeah.
No, we're not going there again.
No, let's not start that pit again.
No. Brad, I will see you on Thursday for the prediction show. Very interesting show, provisionally lined up for Wednesday at 7:00. Those of you that know, he's a good friend of the channel, Kieran Maguire. He goes on Sky Sports, on Talk Sport. He does Radio Leicester as well. He does the podcast. I think it's The Rest is Football. He knows about football finances. I wanted to get him on last week, but he was in Cologne in Germany. He's coming on Wednesday to talk about the new EFL rules and how it's going to affect us. So that's coming up on Wednesday. So that should be very, very interesting. Brad, have a good week, mate.
Cheers, buddy. You too. Everybody else take care. And thanks for everybody who's dropped in. Make sure you're hitting the like button on your way out if you haven't already, and subscribed if you're new. And thanks for having us again, Chris.
No, thank you. As the actress said to the Archbishop, I will see you on Thursday, buddy. As Brad said there, smash the likes, please. And if you are new, please do subscribe. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 for the debate show.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.